let me tell you about the SpaceX Inspiration4 crew, the completely regular, everyday people that are currently orbiting around the Earth. So, I wasn't completely honest when I said regular, everyday people. I mean, I know it's not right to lie, but this feels like a good time to break it to you, just in case you were getting your hopes up about being next in line. On the other hand, I do think it's important to highlight the fact that this crew is definitely comprised way differently than we all had imagined when SpaceX first announced their desire to provide civilian spaceflight. Notably, this launch hits the following landmarks: the first entirely non-professional crew to become astronauts, the first black female pilot of spaceflight, the youngest American to fly in space, and first private SpaceX spaceflight, according to CNBC.com. I can't help but remember staring up into the night sky as a child. With eyes full of wonder and curiosity, I would find all my favorite constellations. I would imagine myself up in the sky dancing with all the twinkly stars. As I grew older, my interests moved towards actually learning all of what could be out there. Unfortunately, it is still true that the cost of these missions means that the opportunity to dance in the stars is still out of reach for anyone who's probably watching this video. But if you do have a spare $55 million laying around, be sure to let us know in the comments. Alright. Let's get back to the Inspiration4. The mission has 4 seats with different names. Each of the seats has its name inspired by the different ways the passengers were selected for the flight. We'll go over them one by one, and I'll be including a short video from each of the astronauts so that we can get to know them better. Leadership. The leadership seat of the mission is filled by Jarek Isaacman. He's a successful businessman who founded Shift4 Payments, the company he is still the CEO for today. He has funded the entire mission from his own pockets, but he also wants to raise money for charity. As someone who is very cynical when SpaceX first announced civilian flight, I have to admit that Isaacman seems to be very thoughtful in terms of making a difference. I'll roll the video so you can see for yourself.
I grew up in New Jersey, and when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a doctor. My older brother's a doctor. I watched the show ER as a kid, and I thought that's pretty cool. I think, saving lives is a pretty important thing. But, life took me in a different direction. My interest in aviation and aerospace goes back since I was a kid. I mean, the first computer I built, I was playing Falcon 2.0, and then, upgraded to play Falcon 3.0. I went to Aviation Challenge, which is part of Space Camp as a kid. I was a observer of SpaceX from the outside looking in, like a lot of people. And then, my opportunity to kind of see what the inside was like began in October of 2020, when the idea of Inspiration4 started to come about. A big part of what we're trying to achieve with Inspiration4 is to send, an inspiring message really to the world about what is certainly possible up there in space, but also what we can accomplish here on Earth as well, which is why, this massive fundraising effort for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is such a big part of our mission. To me, having some balance where you're trying to tackle a problem of today so you can earn the right to keep making progress tomorrow is just a philosophy I've tried to live by for some time. The advice I would give my younger self: you can aim high, you can dream big, and even things that people would say is next to impossible, you can accomplish it. I totally believe we all have that fundamental obligation to leave the world a better place than we found it. I'm Jared Isaacman, and I'm the commander of Inspiration4.
Hope. The Hope seat is filled by Haley Arsenault. She is one of 2 astronauts selected by St. Jude, where Haley is a physician assistant. Almost 2 decades ago, she was diagnosed with bone cancer just above her left knee. She was treated at St. Jude's, where she underwent chemotherapy, but unfortunately lost her leg and had to get a prosthetic. In every video that I've seen of her, I can see that she is such a bright and happy person. Childhood cancer is a tragedy that is particularly close to my heart, and I'm sure it is to plenty of yours as well.
I'm so excited to be going to space, and I'm just a regular person. I am so lucky that I got a phone call asking if I wanted to go to space. I'm from Louisiana. I was a super active, super outgoing kid, involved in everything, and I actually had just gotten my black belt in Taekwondo a couple days before I was diagnosed with cancer. I definitely am excited to represent those that aren't physically perfect. I want to bring this experience back and share with everyone I encounter, and just what this represents for the new age in space travel and who can be an astronaut. I've thought a lot about launch day. I've even had some dreams about launch day, and I still don't know what will be going through my mind. I know I'm gonna be incredibly excited. And of course, I have the window seat. Looking out the window and seeing Earth from space is going to be so incredible. Can't even put into words. What I'm absolutely most excited about is we're gonna call the St. Jude patients from space. And I'll get to video call these kids that I've gotten to treat, and these kids going through cancer treatment, and getting to show them what life after cancer can look like. It's been incredible for me to watch how much this mission has already touched the kids at St. Jude and how much hope it's given them. I love this one little girl I talked to recently. She said, "I can't wait to be an astronaut." Like, there was no if in there. She just couldn't wait for it to happen. I think that's what hope is. I am Haley Arsenault, Medical Officer of Inspiration4.
Oh, and another fun fact, all the astronauts picked 10 songs to be added to a playlist for the mission. There's lots of good additions, but by far the best one on there is Added to the Playlist by Haley herself, All Star by Smash Mouth. I can't get over the fact that of all the songs created by humans, the song from Shrek is apparently a peak space bop. The rest of the playlist is on Spotify. I would recommend checking it out. Generosity. The second seat given to St. Jude from Mr. Isaacman is the Generosity seat. This seat was raffled off to raise money for the hospital. Christopher Sembrowski entered the sweepstakes by donating $50, but he did not win. In the weirdest turn of events ever, the person who did win was his friend, who apparently decided he had something more important to do than go to space? Who knows what kept his friend from accepting the seat, but I'm sure Mr. Sembrowski is very happy about whatever it was. He is a data engineer who has worked as a counselor for Space Camp, an educational program that allows kids and families to get a taste of what it's like to be an astronaut. He has also volunteered for ProSpace, a nonprofit advocacy group with a mission to open space up to the average citizen.
When I found out I was going to space, I was dumbfounded. I think I was just struck dumb for days. The seed was planted for me to fall in love with space when I was little and started launching little rockets in my front yard with my dad, the first of which is still probably stuck in a Florida pine tree somewhere. But when I first saw a space shuttle launch in person from the causeway, 6 to 8 miles away, you could still feel that rumble pounding through your chest. That kind of just shifted my foundation a little bit, and I knew from there on out I had to be somehow a part of space, whether it was helping support a mission or lobbying for folks to be able to go into space. That's where I wanted to be. Of course, I'm going to be looking down at my home in Western Washington. I'm also looking to see what I don't see, and that's going to be lines on a map or those walls that seem to separate all of us ideologically or politically or even geographically or physically. Those don't exist when you get far enough out, and I'm really hoping to bring back that sense of what it means to only have that one small line that matters to all of us, and that's the atmosphere that keeps us separated from the vacuum of space. As we get to launch day, I am gonna have the biggest smile going to ear. It's gonna be, I'm gonna be shaking with excitement. No fears or jitters at all about what's going to happen, but man, that's gonna be a heck of a show. I'm Chris Sembrowski, Mission Specialist of Inspiration4.
Prosperity. Deanne Proctor is a community college professor and is the first Black female pilot in spaceflight. She is the person of the group that came the closest to becoming an astronaut in the regular way. In 2009, she was among 47 finalists selected by NASA for their agency from a total of over 3,500 applications. There were 9 astronauts selected that year, but unfortunately she was not one of them. She applied 2 other times, but she didn't make it into the finals with those applications. missions. She has clearly had a lifelong passion for space, and I think that makes it even more special that she was given this life-changing opportunity.
The day of launch, I'm going to be thinking about how my entire life has led up to this moment. I was born on the island of Guam, and the reason why I was born there is that my dad worked for the NASA tracking station. And so I feel like space has always been a part of me. When I got that call, that Zoom, and Jared was on there and he said that, they picked me for the Prosperity seat, that I was going to go to space with him and be part of the Inspiration4, it really was like getting the golden ticket for Willy Wonka. Everything in my life finally came into focus, and I realized that it was all about this moment in time. I won the Prosperity seat for Inspiration4, and I did that not as a geoscientist or an explorer or an analog astronaut, which are all on my resume. I actually won this as a poet and an artist. We are striving for that Star Trek generation, that idea of a just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive space, or a Jedi space. I'm gonna be the first Black female pilot of a spacecraft ever. And to me, that just blows me away. And I wanna encourage the next generation to dream that this is possible. And a Jedi space, that's what that's about. I'm Dr. Cyan Proctor, and I'm the mission pilot for Inspiration4.
I think it's important that the conversation about equality and access to space continues, but I also hope that this mission sets a precedent for civilian spaceflight going forward. The truth is, if a person is wealthy enough to pay $55 million for a couple days in space, they should also be putting money towards the welfare of the general public. The reality is that nobody makes that kind of money off of their own labor alone, so they are absolutely responsible for at least making sure their employees are well taken care of. The Inspiration4 mission hopes to raise $200 million for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Jared Isaacman donated $100 million himself, and at the time of writing this script, over $60 million have been donated. I'll include the donation link in the description below if you're interested in donating. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I hope you learned something interesting. On a closing note for this video, I just want to let you guys know that I'm working on a true crime video script about one of the most evil, abusive mothers in the United States. I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't think you're going to want to miss it.